Well, hello there. Welcome back to my channel where I am Amy. We are still trying to figure out what this channel is about and when we actually post things. It's a process. So it's the Halloween season and obviously I like Halloween. Can you not tell? I thought it'd be really fun to make something simple. Last week we did a very big kind of project and it really just broke me inside. I'm very happy with how it turned out, but it broke me. So I thought, why not return to the roots of things I like to do? And we're gonna do some arts and crafts. Spooky arts and crafts. I've customized plenty of pop figures in my day, and by plenty I mean a handful. I've made a Harry Potter before there were Harry Potter ones. I've made a Pocahontas one before there were Pocahontas ones. I'm seeing a pattern. I made my friend into a personalized Sailor Scout, and I've customized some Dorbs. I like making things and making them different things. If Beanbag into Imposter wasn't a clue to you for that. So this week, I thought, let's make some Halloween decorations, some DIY decor, some nerdy themed spook. I thought, what better to do than Pokemon? Do you like my little Pikachu dressed as a Mimikyu? It's really cute and I love it. So the idea for this week is be super simple, doesn't take a whole lot of time for you, and just ends up being kind of cute. I want to make the original starter lineup into spooky characters. If you haven't seen, all over the internet, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, DeviantArt, people have been making the Halloween version of Bulbasaur, and there have been some artists who have made Halloween versions of Pokemon and like the main starters in general. Now there are a lot all around the internet right now, but the main one that I saw and was inspired by was Vincenzo Nova on DeviantArt. And so I will have a link to that artist down below in the description box if you want to go check them out, show them support, be like, hey, your stuff's really cool, because it is. So some of these ideas came as slight inspirations from what I saw from that artist, but I kind of took them, did my own interpretation, and we're going to just make stuff that's super cute. So we're doing Pikachu, Squirtle, Bulbasaur, and Charmander. And we're gonna go as hard as we can with what I have already available in my apartment. So let's talk some spooky ideas. Our most complicated and most true to the original form, I guess, Pokemon is gonna be Pikachu, and she is going to be our witch. Oh, look at that. Do I have a hat now? Is it cute? I love this hat. This is one of the few witch hats that actually fits my face. Witch hat offer right now, it doesn't fit in frame and it makes it very hard to see what I'm doing. We'll have to go with my casual Ren Fair dress instead. Pikachu. She is gonna be our witch. So my thought is giant witch hat, we'll do a sash, you know, a utility belt kind of sash thing, have something hang from it, and we'll do a cloak, maybe do some like little bips and bobs, so like a buckle on the hat, maybe we do like either a charm on the hat or a charm on the cloak to be a cloak clasp, and let's have her hold a magic book because she is going to be the star that brings about all these things. Do I have a backstory for these Pokemon pop figures? Yes, I do. Hello, I have an inability to not put story to everything. For Bulbasaur, we had to do the now classic pumpkin patch Bulbasaur where his or her bulb is a jack-o'-lantern. Now, my original design for Bulbasaur had some vines coming out of the pumpkins for like a vine whip kind of effect, but unfortunately my wire cutters broke while trying to, funnily enough, cut wire. You had one job. So we had to kind of go without the additives of those. Once I get a new set of wire cutters, I might go back and add some cute little vines afterwards, but for now we'll just have to move forward without vines. For Charmander, my thought that I couldn't get out of my head was kind of like a fire spirit. No, not like the one from Frozen. Though kind of like the one from Frozen because it's a lizard that's a fire spirit. I didn't mean to do Frozen. We're going for like creepy cute. So my thought is, you know, flamey eyes, flamey tail, and to go more the spirit color route. So a little bit more, or so the blues and the teals rather than the oranges. Maybe some bigger fangs. And I was thinking about doing claws, but the clay was not with me on the claws. So as we go through this process, you will see that Charmander does not have extra long claws. Squirtle is the one I had the least amount of ideas for, so I wanted to actually use the most inspiration from the artist on DeviantArt for Squirtle. Now she is going to be kind of a skeleton person, and she's gonna look a little bit like the Punisher, or like the idea of the Punisher. At least that's kind of what this design ended up looking like to me. And I think she is going to be our trick-or-treating friend. And so I think I'm going to end up making a little trick-or-treat bucket and have Squirtle hold it or be next to it, because I have a feeling she's going to end up being a little monochromatic and probably needs a little pop of color. So let's see how these turn out. Our first step is clay. We need to get the clay onto these pop figures so that we can really make them stand out a little bit. Bulbasaur was one of the ones I was most worried about because I was worried that the pumpkin would end up being too big. Trying to fit it on the bulb that was already there was a little weird. I needed to make it big enough to carve a face into without hitting the bulb. Is it weird to keep calling it a bulb because it's Bulbasaur? Is it a... I mean, it is a bulb. Should we make a Bulbasaur sometime that is a Bulbasaur, where the bulb on the back is a light bulb? That would be really fun if it was a working light bulb. Ooh, what if you got the big giant Bulbasaur and then took the bulb out, made a kind of casing or something so you could make it a Bulbasaur light where the bulb is the actual bulb on Bulbasaur? I'm getting ahead of myself. I don't know electricity, but now I want to do it. Focus, Amy. This is about this week's project, not projects in the future. Going into this was about the time I found out that my wire cutters could not cut wires. I wanted to keep it leafy. I wanted to keep it very garden-esque and a little bit less cartoon pumpkin. So the idea was to make a jack-o'-lantern face and then... Hello, transmission. So the idea was to make a jack-o'-lantern face that just kind of popped out from behind him, and to make sure it ended up on the side that when you're looking at the pop figure, when Bulbasaur is facing you, you see it peek out from the side. Because if you put it on the other side, no one's ever gonna see it. Forethought. So we need a stem, some leaves, and just a cute little pumpkin. And that was pretty much the only additive to Bulbasaur. Then we have Squirtle, and Squirtle was pretty simple overall. So Squirtle was a mask, and I wanted to make it a cracked skull sort of mask that looked like it was either coming from her face or was just put on her face like a trick-or-treater. Hence, the basket that we're gonna end up making and putting with her. And for Squirtle, I didn't want to make the whole shell a skull because I felt like with the mask that was just gonna be weird. So we didn't do that. Charmander, speaking of lack of flair, was a little simple, but I think it's going to turn out really cute. For her, again, the claws didn't really work out, but we added in extra sharp fangs in the front, as well as like the little back fangs that were already there, and we just laid some clay on top of the fangs that were already on the pop figure. Then we added in what, to me, before all the painting and everything, looked a bit like the cavemen from those car commercials. And my idea was I wanted to kind of give a divot for the flames from the eyes to sit in. The idea wasn't to make something that was going to be obtrusive after the fact, but to just be a little additive. And so we're going to get some flame eyes. And then we have what's probably the most complicated when it comes to just adding clay. And I probably could have done this in a better way to save myself problems when the paint job happened, but you live and you learn. So Pikachu, we wanted to add a hat, and I thought a cute little witch hat would be really cute, like a slightly oversized. We had to kind of scale down the hat because it was making it a little too hard for her to stand up and wasn't fitting quite right because the clay didn't want to sit around the ear so much. So we had it be supported by the ear instead by having the ear pop through the hat and having the hat come around it, just to give it a little bit more balance than the initial sketch idea. Now, my original plan was to just have a buckle and a Pokeball on the hat ribbon, but that didn't end up looking like it was gonna look very good, so I decided to do a Pikachu-shaped buckle on top instead, because what's cuter than Pikachu wearing a Pikachu buckle? I don't know. The cloak is part of what helps Pikachu stand up because she is so top-heavy with this hat, and so the cloak is there to give a little bit more stability. Now, the cloak was made to do that, but in doing that, it makes it really hard to paint the back on the inside of the cloak. So that's a trouble for future Amy who had to paint it. Future Amy is always really mad at past Amy for the things that she puts her through. Now I just wanted to give this Pikachu, since she was gonna stay mostly her normal color, a little bit more accessories. So we have a little bag for the sash area to also potentially help her stand up a little bit. And we have a magic book for her outstretched arm to hold, because what's better than a book of spells? It's really fun, and I just thought it would be cute. And it goes along with the story that's in my head, which we'll get to. Hello. Am I wearing glasses so I don't have to put on mascara? Maybe. But that doesn't stop the fact that we have a little bit of an update to the looks of our pop figures. Actually, give me 1 sec. I'm gonna actually go grab them. They're almost done drying and we're almost ready for the next step, but for this we can have a visual. Woo! Okay. I don't know if these glasses really help, but we'll see, won't we? When I look through this and I'm like, Amy, that was a poor choice. The couple updates to what we've done. So Pikachu, I will have to glue our little bag back on. It fell off, but it helps him stand because the hat is a little heavy to one side. I was thinking about keeping him this yellow, but I think we'll have to repaint him a different yellow anyway because of all the clay dust that got on him that I couldn't get off. Actually, I think our Pikachu is going to be a she, so she's looking really good. Next we have Charmander, who really just looks like he had a super bad like Sephora makeover, but it will look good afterwards. I'm pretty confident. The only thing I'm sad about with Charmander is that we're not going to be able to keep the see-throughness of his tail because we want it to be a different color. So unfortunately, I don't have like resin or resin mold that will do that look, but I still think he'll be cute. Cute little fire spirit. Bulbasaur, I am sad to say, we have to say goodbye and give up on the vines for this project. I was trying to get some wire because the vines weren't going to hold themselves up, and then my wire cutters, as I was trying to cut the wire, just snapped. And now I don't have wire cutters. So not only will I have to go get wire cutters, we don't get to have vine. I love Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur is one of my favorites, and it might be one of my favorites, if not my favorite Pokemon evolution chain. Rightfully so. Squirtle is the one that's gone through the biggest change since the last time that you saw my really crappy footage of me putting the clay on because my camera, this one, died and I had to use my phone, but my phone doesn't sit on a tripod, so it just kind of had to be. So thank you for sitting through that footage. But Squirtle, in addition to having his little skull mask, now has a rib cage, and again, that goes back to the war turtle from the artist that I have linked below. And I think she will look really cute once everything is said and done. Now, once all the clay had dried, and again, this project takes a little bit more time because dry times. The clay has to sit and harden, and even while giving it a little bit of help, it still had to sit there for a little bit. And then I need to give it a coat of Mr. Super Clear, which is a matte finishing spray, but it really helps the paint kind of stick to it. So I went downstairs, sprayed it with Mr. Super Clear, and let that dry also. Once that dries, then we get to the fun part, sort of, well, pre-fun part. The thing that has to happen before we can do the full color paint is to paint all of it white, because the idea is to have a full base of color so that the color of the original pop figures don't shine through onto the rest. You could also give it a full coat of black, which maybe would have been better for me since so many of them ended up dark gray black, but I'm used to doing a white base coat because when like you take painting classes, they have you do like that Bob Ross, the white, you know, the Betty White. You could also easily do it with a black coat. Now, once all the white paint had dried, that's when we go in with our full punch color. And by that, I mean a lot of black paint. Hello, we are going to paint. I have my things of paint over there. Ignore even more of this mess. I have my paint, my brushes, my water. We're gonna montage this whole thing. This is my favorite part of the process because sculpting is fun. I very much enjoy it. The painting is where everything comes alive. You get to experiment, you get to try things, you get to tell a story in color. I love it. So I am super excited. They dried much whiter than I expected. So hopefully that means that the color will go on really clear. I hope that you're having fun with this. I'm having fun with this. This was a super indulgent video because I wanted some spooky Pokemon decorations for my apartment. I tried to do like variations of black to dark gray to lighter gray to blue gray to purple gray, and they all kind of ended up drying the same. So there's a little bit less color variation than I was hoping for, but we're gonna go with it. It's simple. You pick the colors that you think are gonna fit and you go with it. And so I wanted the pumpkin on Bulbasaur to have slightly like lit effect. So inside the eyes and the mouth, we kind of layer in some lighter yellows, some lighter oranges, and we just paint some of his scales a lighter gray, give a little bit of definition. Squirtle, I tried to do like a dark blue gray and it still ended up being a little bit just gray, but I do think it comes off a little bit cooler than some of the other grays that I have sprinkled throughout all of these pop figures. I wanted to add a little pop, so we did add a little skull onto the back of her shell, and it just cements the idea that this Squirtle is Punisher in my brain. You know, Squirtle trick-or-treating as the Punisher. Why not? It's cool. Let's mix all of the IP. Pretty much just made sure the bones were cool, gave a little bit of depth by adding in some light grays around the edges, around the inside curves, and around the ribs to kind of just give it a little bit less of a flat look. Though most of these pop figures are pretty flatly colored, just due to the nature of pops and what their general style is. Charmander was interesting. I know I wanted to make it look the fire was glowing, so I really just mixed a bunch of teals, blues, a little bit of like a little bit more green, and some whites to just try to get that glowing that glowing fire effect for the eyes and the tail and the belly. My thought process was Charmander to look like she was glowing from the inside and like it was bursting forth. I might go back and add some like cracks to Charmander to give her a little bit more depth and see if it gives her a little bit extra by painting in some like cracks to let the blue shine through in other places. But it was getting late and so I didn't really have any more time to do that. So again, if I do that and it's not in the montage at the end, it'll probably end up on my Instagram at some point, which, as with everywhere on the internet, is Amariebythesea. Same as here. Now, Pikachu was a nightmare, but that's just the nature of projects. They always have at least one nightmare. The yellow did not want to go over my mistakes with the black, and so that was one really super fun thing. But overall, I wanted to try to give the hat a more purple, gray, black tinge, and it kind of comes off that way. It comes across a little bit warmer than some of the other grays that are mixed in. The cloak is pure black because I knew I would have to paint and repaint and like fix little things as I painted the body, and I just wanted to keep it simple, so that's just gonna stay pure black. The sash became brown, the bag became brown. I decorated the magic book a little bit with just some like magic looking stuff, and by that I mean like pops of magic-y colors, or colors that I associate with like magic stuff, which is a lot of purples, pink purples, blue purples, purples. And the other thing for this Pikachu that was going to be like custom color was that I wanted the cheeks and the spots on the ears and tail to be purple, because to me purple is magical and I just wanted that to match. So we have purple cheeks, purple ears, and then for the little buckle on the hat, I just copied that color scheme, which is purple tips, purple cheeks, and then put a little face on it. So it was all super cute, super matchy-matchy. Pikachu apparently has a vanity problem. It's fine. And then we paint the little Pokeball to look like a Pokeball on the collar, and she's just super cute. All we have to do is hot glue those pieces onto the pop figure, and we're pretty much gonna be set. And now that the gloss finish is dried, it's time to show you what our final pop figures look like. Enjoy! So the idea for these pops is that Pikachu, a witch, a lonely witch, decided to summon some friends. And the friends are the spirits that represent different parts of this Pokemon universe. You have Squirtle, who is the defender of the dead and ready to come back and represents all the Pokemon who fall in battle. You have Charmander, who is like the spirit and represents the spirits of the ghost type Pokemon and the, you know, the power that they hold. And so the power is always bursting forth from Charmander. And it just kind of represents the power and the energy and just the light of Pokemon in this universe. And you have Bulbasaur, which just represents the spirit and the fun of the season. And to me, like pumpkin patches and all of that bring about such a happy feeling and happy memory that I'm like, Bulbasaur is just going to be like the joy of everything. And so it's the joy of the season. It's the joy of, you know, friendship and finding friendship in these dark arts that Pikachu is doing. And the story to me is Pikachu on All Hallows Eve went out into the woods to summon some friends. And what she found were our little Pokemon spirits. And I just think like it's a cute little story. You could build a little scene for them to sit in. But all in all, it's all about creativity. And I did what I wanted to do, which was make some really cute Pokemon decorations that I can put on like the mantle or on my bookshelf, and they can just sit there all year round, but they can come out specifically for Halloween time. I don't actually have a lot of decorations for Halloween, and I just wanted to give myself a little flair, and I've always loved these designs. It was a fun project to me. It was a selfish project for me. So hopefully you had fun watching it, but thank you for indulging me on just things that give me that creative glow inside. If you would like to see me do other pop figures, I do have the idea. There was that photo floating around the internet of the original starters as other types. So like if Charmander was a grass type, if Bulbasaur was a water type, if Squirtle was a fire type, that would be really fun to try to make. So if you like that idea, leave a comment below and let me know that. And also, if you had fun and you feel like sticking around to this nerdy creativity channel, maybe that's what we are. I'm not sure yet, but if you want to find out, you can subscribe down below, and I would be really grateful for that. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, as always, I have been Amy, you have been wonderful, and I will see you in my next video. Stay magic. Bye. You're far away.
Oh no, they're good.